Sandy Schwartz needed some transmission work and didn't know where to go. Dad told her to go to Bob's Transmission, but ask for Harold so she'll get really good service. So she does it. She goes there and she says, I'd like Harold to do the work. And they started laughing and walked out. She's sitting in the room with this bird, and all of a sudden the bird says, hello, I'm Harold. I am Harold.
I'm Harold the bird.
I'm Harold. No, it didn't say I'm Harold the bird. I'm Harold. That was one of the many successful pranks Dad pulled on Sandy Schwartz.
Okay, so when I was in 7th grade at Clinton Junior High School in Oak Park, I was a member of the 7th grade basketball team. Because the basketball team was predominantly Jewish, we had our basketball practices at 6 in the morning, unlike most junior high schools that had it after school, because after school, most of us had to go to Hebrew school. I had 2 buddies that lived close by that were also on the team, so our mothers had a carpool and switched off taking us to basketball practice in the morning. At that time, my mother was driving a Valiant, a white Valiant that had a push-button transmission, which Herbie Mendelson, who was very into cars, was very interested in. At any rate, came to find out later on, one day after she took us to basketball practice at the crack of dawn, on the way home, the transmission went out and she could only drive the car in reverse. But luckily for her, she wasn't that far from home and drove backwards down the side streets to get home. Since Herbie Mendelson was her go-to guy to figure out what to do about this situation, he told her to call Bob's Transmission, which she did. And so this is the precursor to that, because I was kibitzing with David Mendelson not even a week or 2 ago when he told me the story of Harold the bird. And what happened is that Herbie referred my mother to Bob's Transmission and said, be sure that you ask for Harold. So my mom came in and insisted she had to talk to Harold, that Herbie Mendelson sent me, and here's the problem, and I need to speak to Harold, which immediately the few employees that she was speaking to were hysterical, falling down on the floor. And she was very confused and said, what's so funny? And then they took her over to introduce her to Harold, who was a parrot. So that is the precursor, because David never heard the reason why the car was in that shape in the first place, which was pretty amusing. And I had never known the story about Harold the bird. So when I saw, I've been following Stevie Mendelson's putting together all these family movies and narrating them. And when I saw a picture of Harold the bird on the most recent one, I decided to call Stevie and tell him that I had the precursor of the story. So that is the story, although there is a little addendum, though, that
Let's hear the addendum.
Before my mother had the Volkswagen, my dad bought her a brand new Rambler. And he decided, and at that time he was working at, I believe, Star Furniture on Livernois, which was off of the Lodge, right off the Lodge, one of the exits, probably the Livernois exit. And he decided, let me break in the car for you. And so the very first day that they owned the brand new Rambler, he drove the car on the highway to work, and a drunk driver crashed into him and totaled the car. So he called my mother and said, I'm sorry, honey, the Rambler is not rambling anymore. And she said, what are you talking about? And he said, I was in an accident, I'm fine, but I totaled the car, and the replacement car was the car that he ended up getting for her with the push-button transmission, the Valiant. So that is the precursor to the precursor. So it's all a very amusing story, and I thought that you would like to document that.